Hello and welcome to the Study Abroad Pre-Departure Orientation for Faculty-Led Programs. Today we'll be covering some basic health and safety information, the insurance program that you'll be enrolled in during your study abroad, and the forms that I will need back from you before you depart for your trip. So you know a bit about me. My name is Heidi Bretz and I am the Assistant Director for Study Abroad and Exchanges here at UNCG. While in college, I studied abroad for a semester in Belgium and a summer in Tunisia. I'm excited that you have the opportunity to participate in a study abroad experience as well. Before we begin, the most important thing to make sure of before you leave for your program is that you have your passport. If at the time of listening you do not have your passport, you need to apply for it right away. Especially during the summer, the wait periods for an appointment and the processing times are increased. It may take up to 6 weeks to get your passport after you've had your initial appointment. If you have questions on how to apply for a passport, please visit travel.state.gov for more information. If you have your passport and it is within 6 months of expiration, you will need to get it renewed before you leave. Many countries require at least a 6-month validity from the date you depart the country to be able to enter the country. If you are an international degree-seeking student at UNCG, it is imperative that you meet with the International Student Services Coordinator as soon as possible. They will help you with your travel signatures and will also help to review visa information, which may impact your program participation. To begin, we will talk a little bit about packing. You'll want to check with your airlines to see if they have any additional specifications, but these tips should apply across programs. For a program-specific packing list, or for additional materials you will need to bring with you, you will need to contact your faculty director. On most airlines, you are allowed 3 items when you board a plane: a personal item, such as a small backpack, purse, or bag; a carry-on item which is slightly larger, such as a small rolling suitcase, backpack, or duffel; and a checked bag. Allowable baggage weights and dimensions vary by airline. Within those 3 categories, there are some general tips for where you should store specific items when you travel. If you are taking prescription medications, they should be stored in their original container in your personal item. Make sure that they are in your personal item and not your carry-on bag, because if for any reason you need to check your carry-on bag plane-side, you would not have access to your medication. It is also a good idea to take a copy of your prescription with you. In your carry-on, you may want to pack a change of clothes and a few small toiletries. This is helpful in case you arrive in your destination and your bag does not. Also, it is nice to be able to freshen up after several hours on a cramped plane. If you are planning on taking your laptop or another electronic device, you'll want to keep that either in your personal item or in your carry-on. Make sure that you consult with the TSA to determine if there are any regulations concerning electronic devices that will affect your travel. Clothes and any liquids over 3 ounces should go into your checked baggage. Most airlines allow you to take up to 50 pounds per checked bag without extra charge, although you should contact your airline for more details. When deciding what to pack, do keep in mind that you will need to be able to carry your bag. My advice is to pack what you think you will need, then walk a mile carrying all your luggage. If you are uncomfortable or have trouble maneuvering your suitcase, you may want to reconsider what you're bringing with you. In many other countries, you'll need to take stairs, go through narrow hallways, use escalators, or go over cobblestones on your way to your accommodations. You may also have limited storage space. Remember, you don't need to take your entire earthly wardrobe with you. You may have the opportunity to do laundry, either in a sink or at a laundromat during your program. However, do note that dryers are uncommon outside of the United States, so bring clothes that are able to be air-dried. Packing in a single color palette can also help reduce the size of your suitcase. Overall, it's better to pack lighter and re-wear some of your outfits than to take a bunch of clothes that you do not need. Also, I found it helpful when traveling to put an empty bag inside your checked bag. That way, you'll have some guaranteed space if you need it for any souvenirs or other items you may bring back with you. One thing that you absolutely will need for every program is comfortable walking shoes. Many programs involve walking up to 10 miles per day over uneven terrain. Your shoes may feel comfortable, but even the most comfortable of flats or sandals can cause blisters. Blisters can easily get infected and can greatly impact your enjoyment of the program. Make sure that you bring closed-toed shoes that are comfortable for long walks and have been sufficiently broken in. It's always a good idea to bring some basic first aid items such as painkillers, bandages, antacids, antidiarrheal medication, cold medicine, and antibiotic cream. Bring the brands that you know work best for you, particularly if you are allergic to any ingredients commonly found in medications, like sulfites. The brands that you are familiar with and use at home will likely not be available in your host country. A rain jacket or umbrella is a good thing to have, especially if you are traveling to a country during its rainy season. In addition to the clothes you're packing for when you're out and about, you may want to bring 1 or 2 nicer outfits in case you go out to dinner at a nice restaurant. A shawl or cardigan, especially one that can be tossed into a bag or backpack, is a helpful item to pack, especially if you are traveling to windy locations or will be visiting any sacred sites. Leave any valuables you would hate to lose at home. Flashy jewelry can attract unwanted attention from pickpockets. Refrain from bringing heels or uncomfortable dress shoes. Many locations have uneven pavement or cobblestone streets, which can lead to twisted ankles and scraped knees. They may also cause blisters, which we already mentioned are bad news. For most countries, you will also need to purchase a country-specific adapter for any electronics you may bring with you. An adapter allows your U.S. device to plug into another country's outlets. You can purchase adapters inexpensively online, at a big box store, or at a local travel store. You do not need a converter. The U.S. uses 110 voltage for its electronics. Many other countries use up to 220 voltage. Before you leave, you should make sure to check that your electronic devices, including hair dryers, straighteners, razors, or other grooming utensils, are compatible with both voltage systems. This is very important, as plugging a U.S. hairdryer into a European outlet could result in burns or power outages. You may be able to purchase travel accessories that are able to switch between the 2 voltage systems. But, when in doubt, leave your hair tools at home. You may want to check with any roommates you will be staying with to see if they would be willing to either share a compatible tool or purchase one in-country. Electronic items, such as computer chargers and phone chargers, will likely work with either the 110 or the 220 voltage system. You may want to ask your faculty director or do some individual research on cultural considerations for dressing in your host country. You will be a guest in this country, and it is good to be respectful of any existing clothing norms. For example, outside of the U.S., it is not typical to wear shorts, even in summer. If your program involves travel to any religious sites, you will want to bring a shawl or jacket to cover any bare shoulders, and be sure to wear pants or skirts that are at least knee length. You may also want to bring a rain jacket or umbrella in case of inclement weather. When packing, make sure that you check the weather. Even though it may be summer in Spain, the temperatures in the mountains may be lower than you would expect. For any program-specific clothing and equipment considerations, please talk with your faculty director. Now, we will talk a little bit about health and safety while abroad. Please make sure to keep any travel documents on your person while you are traveling to and from your host country. This includes your passport, health insurance card, driver's license, and any visa information. Keep several copies of these important documents in different places in your personal item and in your checked luggage. Make sure that you keep these copies separate from the originals. Once you get to your accommodations, I would suggest leaving your passport hidden in your luggage or in a safe, if you feel it is safe to do so. Then carry one of the copies of your passport with you as identification, rather than the passport itself. It is a lot easier to replace a piece of paper than it is to replace a passport. Make sure that you always travel in groups on your program. Do not go out alone. There is safety in numbers, especially when the culture or the location is unfamiliar. If you do choose to go out, especially at night, take a friend with you and do not separate. Being alone can make you a target for pickpockets or other people looking to take advantage of tourists. It is best when you are going on a trip to have a crossbody bag or purse that zips, and to keep any valuables or wallets in your front pocket, including your phone. It is a lot harder for a pickpocket to be successful if your valuables are within your sight. If you are wearing a backpack, bring it around to the front of your body if you'll be standing on public transit or in a public location for any length of time, to prevent people from rifling through the pockets. Make sure to keep a good eye on your valuables, especially when in public transit and in crowded tourist locations. This is where pickpockets are most likely to be present, and they typically make their living taking items from tourists otherwise occupied with viewing the sights. The most common scenarios in which pickpocketing is likely to occur are in airports, bus terminals, metros, or other places of public transit, near crowded tourist sites, and outside of ATMs, particularly at night. Make sure to carry your own bags at all times and to keep a close eye on them. Sometimes thieves will pose as luggage carriers to take advantage of tourists. All the more reason to pack lightly. Leave any items that you would be sad to lose at home and avoid flashing valuables in public. It is most likely that you will travel by public transit or by transportation arranged by your program director during your study abroad. If you do find yourself needing to take a cab while you are abroad, keep these tips in mind. Illegal cabs are quite prevalent in some locations and can pose a safety risk. It is always better to call a cab than to hail one, as you can vet the cab company you are using beforehand. Ask your faculty director or a trusted local contact for a good company to use. Make sure that the driver's certification and cab number is prominently displayed, and that they start the meter once you get into the cab and it is not already running. You'll also want to research what a typical cab fare is in your host country so you do not get overcharged. You should never get into a cab with someone already sitting in the front seat. During your program, you'll likely encounter new foods that you may not have even heard of before. While you're encouraged to be adventurous and try new things, there are some things to keep in mind. No matter how tasty the food, there's always a chance that your stomach may need some time to adjust to a new cuisine. It may be helpful to bring some antacids and antidiarrheal medication with you in your first aid kit, just in case. Please notify your faculty director of any dietary restrictions or allergies before you start your program, especially if you have a history of severe allergic reactions. Your safety is your director's top priority. I would recommend you avoid eating off of sketchy food carts while abroad. Food poisoning can really put a damper on your program. Finally, ask your faculty director or do your research on whether or not the tap water is safe to drink in your host country. If there is any doubt, use bottled water and avoid eating raw fruits and vegetables that are not peeled. Do keep in mind that, even if the tap water is safe, many countries will serve bottled water at restaurants rather than tap water, unless you specifically request it. If you choose to go out during your program, remember to travel in groups. Don't leave friends alone and make sure to watch your drinks. Always tell someone where you're going, when you plan to be back, and how they can reach you. Make sure that any after-hours activities you engage in do not affect your ability to participate in your program. If you need to catch a bus at 6 o'clock a.m., perhaps consider whether a late night is the best choice. You can ask your faculty director or do your own research on the drinking culture in your host country. In some countries, drinking is seen as the ultimate social activity, and locals may encourage you to join them. In other countries, alcohol may not even be permitted. They may drink much more or much stronger alcohol than you may be used to. However, you can always refuse to drink if you are uncomfortable. Your safety is the most important thing. In terms of alcohol use, UNCG's official policy is that if you are of age in the country in which you are traveling and are obeying the local laws and the student code of conduct, you are allowed to drink. That being said, please be responsible in your alcohol consumption. Alcohol in other countries may be stronger than what you're used to in the United States. For example, where I studied abroad in Belgium, a typical beer has 8 to 12% alcohol rather than 3 to 5% as in the United States. Never go out drinking by yourself. Always go with a group. Make sure that you watch your drinks and don't accept drinks from strangers. One very important thing to remember is that your health insurance will not cover you if your injury or illness is related to alcohol use. If you are injured or become ill while drinking, you will be financially responsible for your own care. Additionally, be sure that any alcohol use does not affect your participation in the program. Do not use illegal drugs on your program. If you choose to imbibe legal drugs overseas, you will be subject to the host country's laws, which tend to be a lot more strict than in the United States. Similarly, if you were to be arrested, you would be subject to the judicial system in your host country. Also, do not bring anyone home with you or go home with a stranger. Your faculty may have more stringent rules on this, but our general guidance is to avoid having or being an overnight visitor. So please be safe, be smart, make good choices, and do your research to make sure that your behavior conforms to your host country's laws. Before you leave for your program, you will need to call your bank to let them know that you are traveling. Otherwise, they may think someone has stolen your card and cancel it or put a hold on it as soon as they see it used in another country. You should also check with them to see if there are any fees attached to changing money, withdrawing cash from the ATM, or using your credit or debit card for foreign transactions. You can choose to order foreign currency before you leave through your bank, but it is not strictly necessary. Most students find that they're able to access an ATM in the airport, which tends to give better exchange rates. Talk to your faculty director to see what they recommend for your program. Make sure that you have several ways to access your money. If you have some cash and your debit card does not work, you'll be in a much better position than if debit were your only option. Do keep in mind that some countries operate primarily on a cash basis rather than on credit. Do not carry all of your cash, credit cards, and debit cards with you in the same place. If you have all your cards and cash in the same place, a lost wallet could spell disaster. Personally, I like to stash some money in different places when I travel. I once had money hidden so well that I did not find it until 2 years after I returned from my program. This way, if for any reason you leave your wallet somewhere or lose it, you will still have some funds available to you. Another call you will need to make before you depart is to your cell phone provider. You should have a way to contact your faculty director, friends, and loved ones in case of an emergency overseas. Many cell phone companies will either partner with local providers to provide reduced-cost cell phone service or allow you to add on an international calling plan for a fee. Depending on the type of phone you have, you may also consider getting an international SIM card for your program. However, do keep in mind that these international SIM cards will typically allow you to make calls within your host country, but may not have international calling capabilities. You may have access to reliable Wi-Fi during your program, but it is not guaranteed and will likely not be available when you are out and about in the city. Therefore, it's very important to at least have some minutes or text messages that you can use in an emergency. Before you leave for your program, you should do some research to determine if you need additional vaccines or preventative care while you are overseas. A good resource for country-specific health information is the Centers for Disease Control website. You can also check with your doctor or your county's Board of Health for information on vaccines. It is wise to bring some basic first aid supplies with you in your luggage. Supplies will likely be available for purchase in your host country, but they may not be the same as what you are used to at home. Cold medicine, painkillers, antibiotic cream, antacids, and Band-Aids are good to have on hand. The importance of comfortable walking shoes cannot be overstated. Please make sure that your shoes are closed-toed and comfortable for walking several miles. You can bring shoes for dressing up or for the beach, but make sure that these are in addition to and not instead of good walking shoes. Wearing good shoes can help prevent painful blisters. If you find that your shoes rub on your feet, try wearing 2 pairs of socks. That way the socks will rub against each other, rather than your feet. You should plan to bring bug spray and sunscreen with you. These items can be hard to find or be more expensive in your host country. When buying bug spray, 100% DEET is the most effective for keeping creepy crawlies away. You may also want to bring a wide-brimmed hat and a light long-sleeve shirt to protect yourself from the sun. Please avoid contact with animals during your study abroad program, particularly stray dogs and cats. In many other countries, animals that you see on the street may not be friendly and may in fact be dangerous or carry disease. Look both ways before you cross the street. It may sound elementary, but auto and pedestrian accidents are the most common causes of injury or death abroad. Traffic may be coming from a completely different direction than what you're used to, and in many places, pedestrians do not have the right of way. Traffic laws may also be completely different from what you're used to. So, when crossing the road, take a few additional moments to look both ways. Be sure to check with your program director to determine if there are any program-specific health considerations of which you should be aware. Now, I will talk a little bit about your insurance plan that you will be enrolled in during the dates of your program. You will be enrolled in GeoBlue, which is a specific health insurance program for UNC Systems students traveling internationally. This insurance plan is zero deductible and covers everything from sprained ankles and colds to medical and political evacuation. They can also help you get prescription refills, doctor's appointments, and mental health care overseas. I will enroll you in the healthcare coverage, and you'll receive an email from GeoBlue. Make sure to check your spam folder as it will often go to spam. The email includes a copy of your insurance card, which you should print and keep with you at all times. The phone number for GeoBlue that you can call from anywhere in the globe is 1-610-263-2847. The GeoBlue insurance plan is required for all students participating on a study abroad program. The cost is already included in your program fee. If you or your parents have international health insurance, it can serve as a supplement to the GeoBlue plan. Do keep in mind that GeoBlue only covers health. It does not provide insurance for your personal items or trip insurance. If you're interested in exploring additional personal effects or trip insurance, I would recommend looking at STA Travel or consulting with your primary insurance company. Please note that GeoBlue only works outside of the United States. If you become ill or are injured close to the end of your program, do not come back to the United States to seek treatment. Get the care you need in your host country. If you are taking any prescription medication, especially any medications that are psychoactive like ADHD and antidepressant medications, you can call GeoBlue before you go to figure out if you are able to take your medications with you or will need to sign any documentation. Some countries regulate the transport of these controlled substances across borders, so it is always good to check. If you need to arrange ongoing care during your program, you can call GeoBlue to arrange that as well. If you see a doctor for a routine appointment, you will likely not have to pay anything out of pocket, especially if you use the direct pay option through the GeoBlue website or their app, M-Passport. For some instances, especially with emergency care, you may be asked to pay out of pocket. If you are asked to pay before you receive treatment, make sure to keep your receipts and you can submit them to GeoBlue for reimbursement. More information and a reimbursement form are easily available on the GeoBlue website. Make sure that you always have a physical copy of your insurance card on your person while traveling. I will also have a copy of your insurance, as will your faculty director. I would also recommend keeping 1 or 2 additional copies in your luggage. The M-Passport app also will have a copy of your card, as well as access to GeoBlue services, such as direct pay and medical term translation. I would encourage everyone to download the app before they travel. Remember, GeoBlue does not cover illness or injury related to alcohol use. GeoBlue is a great resource and you've already paid for it, so please use it. Please see a doctor even if it's just a cold or a scrape. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Before we move on to talk about forms, I want to talk a little about mental health. During your time abroad, you will likely experience many new, exciting, confusing, frustrating, wonderful things. No matter how great the experience, being in a new country is stressful. Many students will experience some form of culture shock on their program. Culture shock, as defined by dictionary.com, is a state of bewilderment and distress experienced by an individual who is suddenly exposed to a new, strange, or foreign social and cultural environment. You may have experienced a mild form of culture shock when you first started college. If you find yourself feeling overwhelmed or frustrated, reach out to your faculty director and fellow participants. A little culture shock is perfectly normal. However, it is not uncommon for stressful experiences, such as study abroad, to exacerbate or surface mental health conditions, particularly anxiety or depression. If you find yourself feeling apathetic, irritable, unable to sleep or sleeping too much, withdrawing from others, abusing alcohol or drugs, or have any other drastic change in behavior, please talk to your faculty director. They're there to help you and make sure that you have a safe and healthy program. If you feel you could use additional support, GeoBlue can connect you with a mental health provider. There are some general tips to help navigate the culture shock you may experience on your program. Be flexible. Especially when abroad, schedules are always subject to change. You may find the attitudes towards time are different, which may affect how quickly, or not, you arrive at a destination. Expect that plans will change and prepare yourself to roll with the punches. Be curious. You're going to be seeing a lot of new things that may seem strange or confusing. I encourage you to ask why whenever you see something that makes you pause. Ask about why a certain custom is important. Think about how your host country views time, or politeness, or friendship. These questions will help you dive deeper into your host culture and enrich your experience. Be open. Try something new. Eat that unusual meat. Try ziplining. Practice salsa dancing. Say hello in another language. A new country is a chance to try something totally different from what you might experience at home. Know that you may not have all the answers, or there may not even be an answer. Learn as much as you can about how people in your host country live their lives. Keep a journal. Keeping a journal is a great way not only to record your experiences, but it's also a chance to process what you're seeing and doing while you're abroad. Now, we will discuss the forms that I will need back from you before you travel. These forms consist of an emergency contact form, student conduct pledge, a health form, a release agreement for voluntary travel, a statement of participant responsibilities, terms and conditions, and a flight itinerary. The first form authorizes IPC and your faculty director to communicate with a contact of your choice should there be an emergency. If you would like a parent or guardian to be your designated emergency contact, please fill out the first box with their name and contact information. If you have another designated emergency contact, such as a spouse or a sibling, please fill out their information in the second box. You can choose the third box if you would not want us to communicate with anyone in the event of emergency. By checking this box, you do not waive your privacy rights under FERPA or HIPAA, and IPC may not be able to help you. Once you've designated a contact, your information goes at the bottom. The second page is the Student Conduct Pledge. This form basically tells us that you will be an adult and make good choices while you are abroad. It tells us that you understand you are still held to the UNCG Code of Conduct, even though you are not physically on campus. The next form is your Student Health Form. This form will only be shared with IPC and your faculty director, so we encourage you to disclose as much information as you can. We will only use it if there is an emergency where we need to know what your health information is. You can put down any prescription medications you are on, including birth control or over-the-counter supplements, and list any allergies you may have that we should be aware of. The release agreement for voluntary university travel basically says that you are undertaking the study abroad program of your own will, and that you understand that any travel comes with the risk of sprained ankles, colds, or other injuries. The statement of participant responsibilities is what you agree to be responsible for, and the terms and conditions are what IPC agrees to be responsible for. The final sheet is a flight itinerary of your program. Please make sure that you include the flight number, any layovers, and arrival times for when you depart the United States and for when you return to the United States. Even if you are traveling before or after the program, it is helpful for us to know where you are in case of an emergency. You can also forward a copy of your flight itinerary via email to h_bretts@uncg.edu. If you are under 21 by the time you depart for your program, you will need a parent or guardian's signature on your forms. Additionally, I will need a scanned color copy of your passport for my records. In case your passport is misplaced or stolen, a copy will be very helpful in getting a new passport. You can either email a copy to me or come by the IPC office in Faust 207 and we will scan it for you. IPC recommends that all students studying abroad on a UNCG program register with the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program, also known as STEP, through the U.S. Department of State. STEP allows you to input your itinerary and gives you the option to receive email or text alerts. This is great not only because the U.S. can know which citizens are currently in the country, but also that they will reach out to you if there is an emergency. I also highly recommend that you research the culture of your host country before you leave. The CIA World Factbook has some good information on history and demographics. You can also access culturegrams through the UNCG library. These culturegrams are short overviews of the cultural, political, economic, and social background of a country. You may also want to reach out to your faculty member for more specific cultural information. Here is a list of additional resources for you to explore on topics such as diversity abroad, health, accessibility abroad, and travel tips. Contact your faculty director if you have questions about your specific program, including schedule details, culture, appropriate dress, required equipment, or other special considerations. Should you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I hope that you have a wonderful experience on your program, and I wish you safe travels. Bon voyage!